Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to get into some comments from the comment section. And so we'll open up the YouTube comment section and we'll see what you guys are curious about. I haven't looked at this before starting the camera, and so I don't really know what your questions or concerns are going to be. Let's find it together. If that sounds interesting, stick around. Otherwise, check out the next video. Okay, so we'll grab a couple comments. Snowballs240 with respect to a Ahonex video. Man, you sniped me on a few auctions. Now keep this site quiet. Don't tell anyone else. You know what? It's funny that you say that because I just recorded another Ahonex video, and I would also like to add that I have seen more action and attentiveness on those marketplaces. There's more tightness around the pricing, which means people are paying attention. If you don't know what we're talking about Ahonex. It's a website where you do peer-to-peer card sales. And so you list the card and you set your price, and there's a window of time for people to bid upon it. And it's pretty exciting in that, like, toward the last 20 seconds of the sale, there's often some real action. There's some real fireworks. And so so far, I don't know if I can really say that this is a place where you can sell your cards for maximum efficiency, but it is a place where you can have fun as a buyer. There are cards being listed from probably OGs who've been here forever. They're listing them for what you might consider undervalue, but then they're just letting the market see what the market does, and they're getting what they want, which is some liquid DC. And then we're getting what we want, which is a long-term hold maybe. And so it's worth checking out. And I'm going to keep talking about it because I do think, frankly, I would rather more people draw attention to Ahonex and that this site become more and more thriving in terms of how many auctions are listed, so that I can have more and more access to interesting entry points on various card supplies. Because it's not just monsters or summoners, it's also land plots or totems or everything, within the Splinterlands ecosystem. And so I want more people participating in this. Actually, really, truthfully, what I want is the free market of our ecosystem to decide whether or not this is a valuable service. And if we agree that it is valuable, as I do, then I think the market itself will establish that sort of supply and demand dynamic within it. And that'll be a good thing for the game of Splinterlands. So yeah, I appreciate the comment, and I'm sorry I sniped you on something under snowballs. Let's grab two more comments on this one video with respect to Ahonex. Crypto Beaver 5949. I was the only bidder on an item, and the site sent me back 500 DEC as an extra reward. Love this site. A few days ago, I put an item up for sale, and folks should be aware that there is a 250 DEC fee per item. That's true. Whether it sells or not, that's true. And a 5% fee on the selling of the price of the item if it does sell, he's right about that. So it makes no sense to list lower value items. That's right. You wouldn't come in and list like a 1 DEC card. That's not what this is for. This is more the higher end products where there is maybe no real price discovery. If you look at some of the black foils, maybe some of the gold foil arcanes, cards that are kind of one of 10, the sort of rarity or even land plots, which they're not necessarily the same. They're very unique and different across every sort of region, tract, and plot. And then, and so that diversity creates a question mark around what its ultimate value should be. And so price discovery can happen on a peer-to-peer marketplace. That's more the value proposition of what Ahonex is offering. But I'm glad Crypto Beaver is enjoying it. And when he talks about them giving you 500 DEC back, I wonder if that has something I don't fully understand that. I'm not going to comment on that. There are mechanisms, I'll say, that Ahonex has set up with different bids, and you can, I don't fully understand that. And that's all I can say about that. One last comment I want to catch from Tails here. He says, is Aggie just subsidizing the site and placing his extra cards for sale for a loss to drive traffic here? I still have no idea why any real card owner would sell cards for a loss here. As the saying goes, if it's too good to be true, don't believe it. Fair enough. I'm going to say thumbs up on that. And I'm going to say, I don't know the answers to that question, Tails, but if you see this video, or to anybody else who's watching this video and, wanting to know a bit of that answer, yeah, these cards are, generally speaking, going for below market valuations. Like, on at least half of these cards are going to sell for below their bid buy value. So then you go to them. What I mean is, on the marketplace of Peak Monsters or Splinterlands, you look up a given card and you're going to find that the bid buy is X, and you can go on to Ahonex and buy it for that or lower, which means you can buy it from Ahonex and then sell it on the Peak Monsters website. So what I imagine is happening is, first of all, I actually should say also, to our knowledge, Aggie is cooperating with or business partners with the person who developed Ahonex. The fullness of that I don't properly understand either. I just know that in the original blog post I saw about Ahonex, Aggie was mentioned, and then Aggie has been posting about it. And so then clearly, as a supporter of the site, he would likely list cards and just be willing to take a quote unquote loss on those values to drive traffic to the site. That probably is part of what's happening. But then when you say loss on the product, you have to recognize also that a person like Aggie and maybe many of the sort of super OGs in the game of Splinterlands have been here well before these values would have ever been even considered. Like, I just bought a gold foil Alric from the site here. I can see if I come into my own dashboard. I've won 9 auctions. I sold a plot of land on here for 20,000 DEC, and it's a common grain. So that was a little, like, frankly, that was a little high. Like, I would have thought 15 to 17 was probably appropriate, but it went for 20,000. So first of all, people can sell for what is probably overvalue on this site, and I see it happen many times. That's answer number 1. Part number 2 to the answer is, yeah, people like Aggie are quote unquote taking losses on their product because they want to drive traffic to a peer-to-peer auction because they think that would be valuable for the game, and they ultimately think the margins on a site like this might help and return those quote unquote losses. But then the third piece of the answer is that would a guy like Aggie call, I just bought a let's see, completed, can I see it? My bids, I can't see it. Oh, I won. Yeah. So I won. Here's the one that I won. I won a Saber Shark for 8,100 DC, and that Saber Shark was probably, I forget now, might have been worth like 9,000 DC on a bid buy. Did the seller of that card lose $1 because they could have sold it to the bid buy? In some sense, yeah. But if they have a vested interest in Ahonex thriving and people being drawn to the site, and if they recognize that the overall growth of the community that rely on the site can reach this exponential place where more eyeballs mean more profits, which will long-term be a profit to them because of the 5% fee and the $250 DC listing cost. That is where I think you can, like, Costco sells hot dogs for $1.50. They do so because they want to get you in the door. It's a loss leader. And so I think all of that picture, plus again, a guy like Aggie didn't pay $8 for a Saber Shark. He didn't pay $15 for a gold foil Alric, which I bought today, 1cc. You know what I mean? These people have been sitting on these cards for years, and although they could technically sell it perhaps for more as to a bid buy, also I bought a gold foil Alric for 15,000 DEC, and that was double what the bid buy was. So it's really tricky to, the implication of Taylor's comment is that everyone is taking a loss. I don't think that's accurate for the reasons I just outlined. And plus there's the question around loss versus profit across time. If you want to talk about today with respect to one card, you could maybe call something a loss. Selling an Alric gold foil for $15 might be considered a loss because it theoretically could sell for $30. But it also might be considered a win because the bid buy was $7. Or it also might be considered a win because long-term it's drawing attention to a site that's going to garner profits within the context of the auction. And so for all those reasons, I think Ahonex I don't think it's quote unquote too good to believe. Plus it's on the blockchain. Like, you're just bidding for a card. So if there's skepticism around that, I maybe just keep watching. But, for personally, I'm enjoying it. And let's get 2 more comments. I did a video where I opened some more Conclave packs, and Voros Medvi, congrats dude, gotta say my last 30 to 40 packs got no cards of note. I did quite well on that one. I called it streamer luck with Conclave, and then hell of a pool, congrats bro, appreciate you, well deserved. That's from Kissifer. Let's get one more comment from Erroneous with respect to Tasoshi. This is a comment I saw from a week ago where I was articulating the point that I think Tasoshi Drakamoto is like a quality card, but I actually think the black foil lottery, essentially, that you have the opportunity to draw black foil when you buy that card, is in some sense a driving force for why there'll be more voucher sales on that card. And let's see what. And so I was it partly articulating. I don't know if that card quality is on par with, for instance, what's the one right before it? That's so amazing. I'm forgetting it now. Double Strike, Snipe, Phase. Anyways, Erroneous says, what all you guys are not understanding is that nobody is using Dracoshan Archon right now. That's the Dragon Archon. And that's a hole in the meta, so they have to fix it. I've encountered it only one time in hundreds of battles on CA. Came out and I won against it. That's a gaping hole in the meta, so they won't leave it that way. I called it weeks ago that the voucher or the airdrop cards are going to be Dracoshan. Yeah. In some sense, I think you're right, Erroneous. The game is always trying to design new cards that complement and maybe correct if we've gone one way or another sort of too far. So if the Dragon Summoner is not played ever, they will try to bring out new monsters that will support that. And yeah, I could argue that Tasoshi is a piece of that. I also know, or I've heard, that there's a big dragon promo card from the airdrop that's going to launch the airdrops, and that's going to be a beast of a dragon. I don't know any data or stats. I just hear whispers of the quality dragon coming. And so, yeah, I bet you're right in some sense. And then you went on to say the only Dracoshan tank is a 4-mana card with 1 melee and magic reflect and fire return. I know that one. That's I have that card from Rebellion. If you play Dracoshan cards, including this voucher card, and both shapeshifters, you give the tank a 2 melee buff, plus the card gets a buff when the Dracoshan taunt dies. Yeah, that's an interesting. So let me just show you some of the things he's talking about there. He's talking about, let's go with this Draco. We'll go Reg Foil. So he's talking about Solus Asinach, which at the highest levels, it only has 1 melee damage. And so he's saying it's an irrelevant tank almost, but it has good sustainability with return fire, magic reflect, deflect, and redemption. And then he's saying, and let's go modern as well. This is the summoner, and he's saying like the +1 speed's largely irrelevant. And this card's just not getting played. But then he is saying that new promo card, Tasoshi, drops you with an Inspire. This is Tasoshi. Our card art's not updated on Peak Monsters, but it has an Inspire, which gives you 1 more melee damage. Yeah, certainly. There's no question about it. Tasoshi is actually a really effective card in many respects. That's why, I think if your take on my video was that Tasoshi is bad, I mean, the title of the video is Tasoshi is great, but the quality is not why people want to buy it. And I stand by that point. I think the card sales are a large part, at least, a product of the black foil. And so there's 800,000 vouchers have been spent on this card. 5 million were spent on the last card. And if this voucher sync equates to the prior card, I think the explanation is not because of synergies within the Dracoshan, not primarily, but the answer or the justification is because now you actually can drop a black foil when you buy these things. And that's really, really exciting for some people. I mean, if you're going to buy a bunch, there's an opportunity. And so that's my argument. I think that's got to be a piece of it, at least. Let's maybe leave it there. I'm going to leave it there for the video too, guys. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.